Hello and welcome to the official launch of the Green Shift series delivered to you by the CARE Climate and Resilience Academy. We will wait 1 or 2 more minutes for everyone to be able to join us. Thank you for being on time though. For those of you who have just joined us, thank you so much for joining us and a warm welcome to the launch of the Green Shift series. We'll give it 1 more minute so that people can join us and then we'll get started. I will already go over some housekeeping. We're offering live interpretation during this webinar in Arabic, English, French and Spanish. You should have seen a pop-up at the start where you could choose your preferred language. But if you need to change this throughout, then you can access this in your control panel under more actions and then languages and speech. You may have noticed that your microphone and your camera are disabled by default. So if you have a question, then please put this into the chat box, which you can also access through the control panel. We will record the session and we will share this with the slides afterwards. And I'll wait 1 more minute because I can see some people are still connecting. And then we'll really get started. Okay, for those of you who just joined, a very warm welcome to the official launch of the Green Shift series. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining from. You can see some housekeeping on the slides. I just went over this. And yeah, we'll get started. My name is Diana Kakebeke and I'm the Training and Capacity Lead at the CARE Climate Justice Center, and I'm coordinating the work of the CARE Climate and Resilience Academy. And I'll be your moderator today, and I'll share a bit more about what the Green Shift series is about. But I'm not alone, and thankfully we have some special guests with us today who I'd like to introduce to you now. First of all, Guido Foshira is joining us. He is Climate Intersections Lead at Nethope, and Nethope funded the development of the Green Shift series. With us as well, Rijntje van Haringen, the Executive Director and Secretary General at CARE International, and she will emphasize the importance of greening our work at CARE. Then my immediate colleague Ibtihel Ben-Rat, who coordinates CARE's climate and environment policy, and she will provide a short introduction to this policy. And Siham Atala, who is Climate Adaptation Advisor at CARE Iraq, and she will present how CARE Iraq has integrated climate in its strategy and operations, and how they are using our courses to sensitize and train their staff and partners. I will now first share a little bit about the CARE Climate and Resilience Academy For those of you who are new to this, this is an online learning platform and a capacity sharing initiative run by the CARE Climate Justice Center and CARE experts, with as main objective to increase the knowledge and the capacities of humanitarian and development practitioners to integrate climate change and adaptation in programs and policies, thereby increasing the resilience of the most vulnerable people to climate-related risks. And the platform and its resources are available to CARE staff, but also to our partners, and basically to any organization or individual who's involved with climate change and resilience or interested to learn more about it. And our learning resources are directly based on CARE's 20 years of experience in resilience, in community-based adaptation, in climate advocacy, and our own efforts to become a climate smart organization. And we have different types of learning resources at the Academy. Right now, we have around 20 online courses that are self-paced and freely available through our online platform. But we also offer online thematic and paid learning journeys that run over the course of 3 to 4 months. And these are on climate change adaptation, on climate advocacy, on CARE's climate capacity and vulnerability analysis. We have a learning journey on ecosystem-based adaptation and more. And we also run customized trainings that last from 1 or 2 days in person to multiple online modules similar to our learning journeys, but then tailored to a specific theme or context. And again, today we're very happy to announce and launch a new online self-paced course series called the Green Shift Series towards climate smart humanitarian and development organizations. And this series consists of 5 self-paced short online courses with the aim to strengthen the capacity of humanitarian and development organizations to ensure climate and environmental responsibility. They are adapted from existing French e-courses developed by Coordination Sud, of which CARE France is part. This is a consortium of French NGOs. And these courses are freely available in Arabic, English, French, and Spanish. And each course includes interactive elements and activities that help you and us to test your understanding of the content as you make your way through the courses. And each course also has a final multiple choice quiz at the end. And when you successfully complete the quiz, so if you answer 80% of the questions correctly, then you will receive an online course certificate of completion. The development of the course series was funded through the Nethope Climate Intersections Grant Program. And before I will go on and give a short outline of what's in these courses, I would now like to give the floor to Geres from Nethope.
All right, thank you, Diana. And a good morning, afternoon, and evening from wherever you're joining from. So as humanitarian and development organizations, we often called upon to respond to crises around the world, and increasingly many of them of these crises are driven or worsened by climate change. So while we work tirelessly to help communities adapt and recover, we sometimes overlook an important question, which is what about our own environmental and climate impact? How do our operations, our travel, our logistics, and even our programming contribute to some of the problems that we are trying to solve? That's why the Green Shift series is such a valuable initiative, a valuable training course for all of us in the sector to go through, because it offers our sector a moment to pause, to reflect, and to take action, helping organizations understand their own contributions to climate change, calculate their emissions where possible, and design practical strategies to reduce the emissions. It's about shifting from awareness to accountability and ultimately to action. So at Nethope, our mission is to improve how humanitarian and development organizations use technology for good. And through our climate intersections program, one of our key priorities is upskilling our members, building the knowledge and capacity of our members to address climate challenges more effectively. We also support our members through sub-grants, which Diana has mentioned. This, this course is part of the sub-grants that we offer our members to pilot and accelerate, digital solutions for climate action. In this case, particularly focused on adaptation and resilience. These are the kinds of, programs and innovations that help organizations not only to respond to climate crisis, but also reduce their own footprint in the process. So together, through initiatives like the Green Shift series, we have, as a sector, we have the opportunity to lead by example, to show that the humanitarian and development work can be both life-saving and also climate smart. I would like to encourage all of us to take the course and, not only take the course, but also to take action in terms of our own activities and programming within our organizations. Thank you very much. Back to you, Diana.
Thank you so much, Gidraf. And of course, a huge thank you to Nethope for the financial support to develop this series. And now I'm just gonna share my screen again. Not doing it yet. Yep. So I hope you see the slide deck again. Yes. All right. I will now give an outline of the 5 courses that encompass the series without saying too much about it, because of course we would like you to take these courses and not spoil everything now. But for those of you who are fairly new to the topic of climate change or need to refresh their memory, we would strongly encourage you to start with the first module, Module 1A, as this module really helps to unpack the climate and environment crisis and explain what climate change is, what the impacts are of the climate crisis, as well as why this is a human rights issue and what we mean by climate justice. This is followed by course 1B, but before I tell you more about what's in this course, I would like to ask you all a question and for you to answer in the chats. So which activities in the humanitarian and development sector do you think are most closely associated with greenhouse gas emissions? My colleague will also put the question in the chat, and then you can just provide your answer. Do you think this is A, cash and voucher assistance, or B, energy use in offices and waste, C, travel and freight, D, employee commuting, or E, purchased goods and services? Feel free to let us know what you think is the correct answer. And I see all sorts of responses coming in. No A as of yet, but many of you think it's travel and freight. I see some B, D, E. Somebody is saying all of the answers. C, all. Just waiting to see if We have some more coming in. Yes, all B. Well, of course, you are right that all of these activities, or at least B, C, D, and E, are associated with greenhouse gas emissions, but the correct answer is E. So purchased goods and services account for up to 59% of total greenhouse gas emissions in our sector. You can see a range of percentage estimations on this slide. And as you can see, yes, energy use and offices, as well as travel and freight, all have an impact, obviously. But the carbon impact of indirect emissions generated by us buying goods or services from other organizations is actually massive. And these are also difficult to measure and quantify. So well done. There are many more of these questions throughout the courses. And in Module 1B, you can learn more about the positive and the negative interactions between our activities and the work that we do, and climate change and the environment. And in this module, we also share some of the initial courses of action that you can take at the personal level, as well as at an organizational level. Then in the second module of the Green Shift series, we introduce and zoom in on 7 steps that you can take at your organization to develop a climate and environment strategy, with, of course, the aim to reduce your organization's footprint. And this all starts with raising awareness on this issue and motivating colleagues and establishing a dedicated team with a clear and formal mandate. And then, yeah, we zoom in on each of the steps in Module 2. In the third module, we go into more detail on how you can measure or estimate the main sources of greenhouse gas emissions for your organization, as well as how you can assess and prioritize actions to reduce these emissions. This module is a little bit more technical, so it might take you a little longer to digest, depending on your level of existing knowledge, of course. And in the final module of the series, we look beyond carbon at the broader organizational impact of our activities. We highlight a number of tools that can support how to assess our programs or how our programs affect the environment. And the module also shows how you can integrate environmental considerations into the design and implementation of your projects. On this slide, you also see an image of Fatima and Amina. They make an appearance in some of our courses, and they help us to understand and summarize the more technical parts. And this is in a nutshell what the Green Shift series is about. Of course, we will share the direct links to the courses at the end of this session. But for now, I would like to give the floor to Rijntje van Haringen, Executive Director and Secretary General at CARE International. Over to you, Rijntje.
Thank you, Diana, and hello to everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm very happy to join you today and share some thoughts on the importance of greening our sector. The course is called, or the course series is called The Green Shift, and that is for a reason. A shift is really a clear change in direction, moving from old habits to new ways, and in this case, to create positive impact. And that's exactly what the Green Shift series aim at, to provoke a change of direction that makes us choose sustainability over business as usual. As humanitarian, development and civil society organizations, we all carry out a wide range of activities, and some of those have significant environmental and climate-related impacts. Many of our operations are essential, and often they are life-saving. Yet at the same time, it is crucial for us to understand that our operations can also have negative effects and be able to minimize those negative effects whenever that is possible. And that's why each module of this core series aims at changing the way we work, and related to that, the way we live, so that our choices can be more sustainable and help reduce harm to the environment, and so that we can create even more positive environmental outcomes when we design our programs and activities well. We feel that by embracing climate and environmental responsibility, civil society organizations are not only better placed to fulfill their mission, but also to seize an opportunity to increase their impact, their sustainability, and their relevance in a changing world. Many of us are increasingly aware as organizations of the need for climate and environmental responsibility. We're held accountable by donors and we're motivated to change. But still, many of us lack the technical knowledge and the skills required in order to do that. So that's why the Green Shift aims to equip practitioners and their managers with the knowledge, the tools and the skills to understand and guide and transform our organizations into climate-smart institutions. What that really means is that we actively reduce our environmental footprint while we maximize positive impacts. And that matters. It matters because by embracing climate and environmental responsibility, we strengthen our accountability to communities and to donors. But it also matters because it ensures greater sustainability and resilience and relevance of our work in a rapidly changing world. And it also matters because as organizations like, for example, CARE, which has climate justice as one of its key impact areas, we need to walk the talk and embed what we advocate for in our own daily practices. So this is why 2 years ago, CARE took a very decisive step to lead by example by adopting its climate and environment policy. That policy is a commitment to, in the first place, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, next to minimize our own environmental impacts, and in the third place, to integrate sustainability across all the levels of the work that we do. The policy guides our efforts to, for example, travel responsibly, but also to use natural resources sustainably and to transition into renewable energy. It promotes sustainable procurement, inclusive supply chains, and also strict due diligence in partnerships. And therefore, we're also measuring and aiming to reduce our carbon footprint. I really hope that you will find the Green Shift Core series insightful and inspiring, and that it guides you and the organizations that you represent in acting and operating in an environmentally friendly way. Thank you, and I really hope you enjoy the core series if you follow them. And back over to you, Diana.
Thank you so much, Rijntje, for your message. I'm bringing up the slides again, and I will now pass it over to my colleague Ipti, who will share a little bit more about the CARE Climate and Environment Policy, while I'll bring us back to the correct slides. Over to you, Ipti.
Thank you very much, Diana. So, and hello, everyone. So as Rijntje just mentioned, we at CARE Confederation adopted 2 years ago in July 2023, the Global CARE Climate and Environment Policy. And the purpose is to define CARE's commitments for reducing greenhouse gases, minimizing its impact on the environment, and integrating climate and environmental considerations into all levels of its works, and to provide the guiding principles and minimum targets for how CARE will fulfill its commitments. The policy focuses on 3 guiding principles. The first one is to prevent, reduce, and mitigate negative impacts on our climate and environment in the spirit of international standards and agreements. So this includes responsible travel, transport, sustainable energy and natural resources, sustainable supply chain and procurements, trying to reduce as much as possible our carbon emissions, but also developing an integrated waste management strategy. And that includes reduce, reuse, and recycle, and proper disposal. The second guiding principle is to support, where feasible and appropriate, the protection, management, and restoration of the environment, which means that programs will conduct environmental impact screenings or deep assessments, risk analysis, developing as much as possible climate smart programs, and offset any unavoidable emissions if necessary. And the third guiding principle is about promoting good environmental practices, raising awareness on the importance of minimizing our greenhouse gas emissions and being accountable. So this goes through awareness session like this one and some other webinars to promote those good environmental practices, to make capacity and expertise available across the CARI Confederation, to assess and report systematically and transparently every year, and to advocate at the global level for climate smart adaptation funding and mitigation strategies. So those are the three guiding principles with the key features. Now we're going into the three minimum targets that we just mentioned in the policy. The first one is to reduce by 50% our absolute CO2 emissions from three categories: flights, the vehicle use, and the office energy use by 2030, based on 2023 baseline. And this is excluding offsetting. The second minimum target is to establish an integrated waste management strategy starting this year on for all CARI entities. And the third, it is for all programs and all new programs to conduct an environmental impact screening and or assessment by the start of this year, FY26. So you've seen very briefly the statements of the policy, the guiding principles of the policy, and the minimum target we at CARE ambition to achieve by 2030. And that was a very brief presentation. Thank you for your attention. And if you want further details, don't worry, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And most importantly, explore this Green Shift series courses where you'll find more comprehensive information. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Ipti. I'll turn on my camera again. Indeed, if you have further questions, don't hesitate to contact us. For CARE colleagues, you can also find more information on the policy and some guidance on SharePoint, or you can connect directly with your focal points. And next with us is Sihem from CARE Iraq, who is Climate Change Adaptation Advisor at CARE Iraq, but also serves as the focal point for the CEP. I would like to hand over to her now. Hi, Sihem.
Hi, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So before I deep dive into what we do at CARE Iraq, I will just give a bit of an overview of the context that we're operating from. So you can go to the slide. So Iraq is currently transitioning from humanitarian to a development-focused context. So it remains as the stabilization context, we'll say. And the country is at the crossroad of political stability, economic resilience, and climate stress, but there are still compounded, deeply rooted social challenges that Iraq is facing. And key contextual issues include, for example, climate vulnerabilities, such as drought, desertification, water scarcity, dust storms, or floods. And the main social and economic challenges are high unemployment and weak public services. The gender inequality is still very high in Iraq. The country globally ranks 147 out of 156 on the Gender Gap Index, which shows really high disparities. And there is still displacement, around 1.1 million internally displaced people, mainly in the region of Kurdistan in northern Iraq. So this is the context CARE is operating from, and for this reason, we have decided to focus on two pillars for our strategy, and those pillars are equity between women and men and climate justice. And under these pillars, our programming focuses on protection and justice, climate change adaptation and resilience, livelihood and economic justice, and health justice and well-being. So why climate? Why is climate a pillar? It's because Iraq, as I mentioned, is facing problems such as rising temperatures, changing precipitation patterns, recurrent droughts, desertification, and sandstorms. Here in the middle is a picture of a sandstorm in an informal settlement in northern Iraq. And Iraq has been identified as the 5th most vulnerable country in the world to climate change. So CARE positions itself in this context, and this is why climate became an important pillar. Next slide. And the impact of climate change in Iraq is already affecting ecosystems, livelihood, and public health. And those impacts vary by areas, but all of the regions of Iraq are affected, and many sectors are vulnerable. The main ones are, of course, agriculture, water, and health, but other sectors such as education or services are also impacted. So our approach, next slide. Our approach to climate justice is that we put women and girls at the center of everything we do, because we believe that climate adaptation strategies are stronger and more inclusive when they prioritize the rights and agency of women and girls. Next slide. And when we decided to expand our programming to climate while still having a focus on women empowerment, we tried our best to design our programs, our climate program, by including the Iraqi government priorities, the donor strategies, and our CARE Iraq and CARE International strategy. And this is the approach we had. Next slide. But we soon realized that for us to have impactful programming on climate, we needed to look inwards, and we had to shift how we understand climate, meaning that without strong internal knowledge and commitment to climate, it was very difficult to have impactful programming. So to address this, CARE Iraq implemented several key initiatives, some of them related to internal human resources. So now we have, for example, environmental responsibility in contracts for all staff. We also have a mandatory climate change onboarding for all staff. And for this mandatory onboarding, we actually used the CGC training, which was the the first brother or sister of the Green Shift series. So meaning that this onboarding, this climate change onboarding will now use this Green Shift series. And it's something that is very easy to implement because it's self-paced, and the staff get a certificate at the end. So those trainings are great for increased climate literacy, better ownership of the project, and understanding that climate goes beyond agriculture and water, but we also have a say in this. Next slide. Another example of how we included climate trainings in our programs is the Generation Green Initiative. We have trained a youth group who is active in 3 nurseries and school campaign in northern Iraq in the College of Agriculture. And the training was on the climate change impact and environmental resilience. It was easier with them because obviously they're graduates of the College of Agriculture, so they already have a bit of knowledge on those topics or next topics. We explored real case studies from Iraq and we co-developed climate smart solutions, but a lot of the content that is in the Green Shift series can also be adapted to these kind of projects quite easily. And the next steps would be to train the local partners. We started having discussions on this, on how to train the partners, because not only is there need, but there's also an active request from the local partners to know more about climate change and how to include it in our programming. So to quote my former CD, it starts from the inside out. So first we have to know about climate, and then we can have climate programming that is impactful. Regarding operations, we also developed more sustainable practices in office. So now we consider the life cycle of the products that we use before purchasing them. We have waste reduction practices, paperless and plastic-free office. So we use technology to reduce waste. And not only is this environmentally friendly, it's also very cost-effective. We have sustainable procurement. So our IT procurement officer went through a sustainable procurement training, and we transitioned to hybrid cars. And last, but not, oh no, sorry, I forgot this one. We also have different service provider partnerships to respect environmental standards. We have reusable and recycled materials for our visibility packages, and we use QR codes for brochures and cards whenever possible to avoid printing. And last slide. Is a quote from our operations manager, Ahmed Abdulaziz, who went through all of the trainings that I mentioned, and he's now leading, he's a champion in climate change. And he, as a quote, he said that after receiving climate and sustainable procurement training, he started seeing his role in operations from a different perspective. And he now thinks about the impact of every decision he makes, from what we purchase to how we operate in the office. And those changes, like choosing different laptops or reducing waste, make a bigger change. So this is now a mindset for him, and it's really making a difference at the country office level. So in conclusion, CARE Iraq's experience really shows that effective climate programming requires not only a strategic vision and good partnership, it also requires internal transformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sihem. It's really impressive and inspiring to hear from you what CARE Iraq is doing and how climate is at the core of the strategy and of everything you do in your programs and activities, but then also internally. So yeah, really nice. And with that, we do have some time for questions and answers. So if you have any questions for Sihem or maybe for Ipti or for us about the courses, then please put them into the chats. Again, your microphone is disabled, but if you have a question, please put it in the chat and then we can read it out loud and have somebody respond. I don't see anything in the chat yet, but I'll give it a few minutes so that people can type in the chat if they have a question. And while we wait for a question, I can otherwise repeat a question that we received in our earlier session that we did this morning, or at least in Europe in the morning. Then somebody asked, and this question was addressed to Siham, how you can encourage staff, or how you can make it mandatory for them to take some of the courses. Siham, do you want to say a little bit more about that, maybe?
Yes, so the staff didn't necessarily understand why they had to go through another training, and it felt forced, but we actually realized that the fact that there is a certificate at the end is also making it more motivating, because it comes with recognition of the work and time spent doing the training. So I think that these modules are a great way to also give staff that recognition, and it creates more ownership within operations and programs teams.
Thanks, Siham. And from a very practical point of view, it can also help you as a manager or at the HR level, because you can ask staff to send you the certificates, so you know that they have actually taken and completed the courses. I see a question in the chat about the timing. How long does it take to take these courses? So we have 5 courses, and for each course you probably need to take around, well, an hour to an hour and a half to make your way through the courses from beginning to the end. So if you want to take all 5 courses, you might need to take an entire day, but you can do it in your own time, so you can stop and continue whenever you want to. And you can also just go immediately to the course of your interest. We recommend you to take them consecutively, so start with 1A and make your way through. But if you're mostly interested to learn about developing strategy, you could start with module 2, or if you want to learn more about measuring and assessing your missions, you can jump straight to module 3. And indeed, the courses are free, available and online. And I see another question. Can you add what measures can be taken to reduce procurement and travel-related climate sensitivity, and give some specific examples? Ipti, do you want to say something here? Maybe to respond.
Sorry, I missed the question.
It's in the chat. I don't know if you can see it, but the question is, can you add what measures can be taken to reduce procurement and travel-related, well, I guess emissions, and give some examples?
Sure. Thank you, Meseret, for the question. So actually, in the course, you will find many measures. I think it's in module 2 where we're speaking about the carbon emissions reduction strategy and how to develop it. So going through the course, we're giving very practical examples, actually looking into traveling to the different programs and how to reduce. It can be carpooling. There are already few organizations that work together to carpool to go in the different projects. So that's one of the measures that can be taken. In terms of procurement, which is actually also a good question, since a lot of emissions are coming from this source, from the supply chain and procurement. I know that also some countries have been working on different measures, speaking about how to make the procurement more sustainable in terms of delivery of services and goods, but also there is something called the reverse logistic, so bringing back the truck instead of empty, but with the waste in different countries because they don't have the waste facilities to process the different waste, plastic, paper, etc., and not able to recycle. So there are many measures that are already existing in the sector, and you'll find more in the course. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ipti. And actually, Module 3 provides some examples.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
No worries. And that's what we aimed to do in each of the module, to bring in case studies and sort of existing experience from care, from within care, but also from partner organizations and peers, who have examples and experience with it on this. And the other question was already answered in the chat, but yeah, just to repeat that indeed you can receive a certificate of completion if you successfully complete the final quiz at the end of each course. So you need to answer 80% of the questions correctly, and then you can get an online certificate sent to you by email. I don't think there's any other questions in the chat now. Of course, you're probably all dying to hear from us how you can access the courses. So you can scan the QR code to learn a little bit more about the courses and to find the immediate links that take you to the 5 courses in the 4 languages. If you're new to the Academy, you need to set up your own account first. It will only take you a couple of minutes. You can create your own passwords, and then you can immediately access these courses and all the other self-paced courses that are available through our platform. There's also other ways that you can connect with us. You can scan this QR code to visit the Care Climate Justice Center website and the Academy websites. And you can also follow us or connect with us through LinkedIn. You can find us on X, and we have a YouTube channel. Claire also put it in the chat, but a huge thank you to everybody who supported us, who collaborated with us, who contributed to the development of these courses. We had the support of many friends and allies. We couldn't have done it without them, also in terms of translating the courses. So a huge thank you. And having said that, we've reached the end of our session with you. Once again, we will be sharing the recording and the slides with you later this week if you want to go back to something. And of course, if you have any questions or feedback on this session or the courses after you've enrolled, then don't hesitate to send us an email. Or again, reach out through our social media. And thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope you enjoy the courses. Enjoy the rest of your day.